Hey everybody, welcome to Try to Review, the channel where I try new things and review them. My name is Michaela and I'll be your host. Now with this being my first video, I thought I'd take a moment to kind of explain what my channel is about, even though the name kind of says it all. Now normally I'm just a homebody sitting at home on the couch, watching TV, scrolling through my phone when I'm not out with family or friends, because I do get out guys. Now given what I do with most of my free time, I like to think of myself as a bit of an unofficial critic. I can get real specific with the taste or smell of a food, or giving my opinion on what I loved or hated about a movie or a scene in a show, and what direction I think the director should have gone in. So with my extensive knowledge and expertise, I thought, why not share this vast knowledge with the world, right? Anyway, enough about me and what my channel is about. For today's video, I'm going to be making this keto chili recipe that I found on Pinterest. And we all know how that may or may not turn out. Pinterest fails. Anyway, just a quick disclaimer. I subbed the beef stock for the beef bone broth that the recipe originally called for. Because look, I was hungry, y'all. I went to 2 or 3 different stores and I was over it. So I busted out my phone, Googled the difference between bone broth and stock. And there wasn't a huge difference other than the stock is made with more meat and the bone broth is made with more bone, which might make it a little bit thicker, but otherwise not a huge difference. With the recipe, I also didn't catch that they use smoked paprika instead of regular. But again, I don't think these substitutions are going to make a huge difference, but I won't know because I'm not using them. So for that reason, I'm including a link to the original Pinterest post in the description box below for you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it all. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So the first step says to add in and saute the onions. So you need about a half an onion. And to be totally honest with you, this particular recipe doesn't go into detail as far as what brands they use, or exactly what kind of sausage or ground beef or anything like that. So I just went with what I could find. But first, let's get half this onion, and then we're gonna saute it on saute mode in the pressure cooker. Okay, so it says to saute the onions right here in about a tablespoon of olive oil, which is what I'm going to put in there. All right, so looks like it's all ready to add it in the onions. Let's add the sausage in first. And now let's add in the ground beef. Meat is all done and browned. Now, the instructions don't say anything about draining it, so I'm assuming we don't have to, but we'll see. Now time to add in the seasonings. Alright, first 3 tablespoons of ground chili pepper. Then 2 tablespoons of cumin. Then 1 tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder, and I'm using Hershey's brand. Sounds a little weird, but hey, that's what the recipe calls for. 1 tablespoon of paprika. So a half teaspoon of oregano. Teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of pepper. And 2 teaspoons. Now it says you can use
powdered garlic or fresh garlic, so I chose to use fresh garlic. Okay, everything's combined. On to the next step. Alright, so now it says to add the 2 cups of bone broth, the Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies, and the fire roasted tomatoes. So, the instructions aren't very clear on what setting to leave the meat on while you do all this, so I just left it on warm. So let's go ahead and add in the fire roasted tomatoes first. Piece of the Hunt's fire roasted diced tomatoes. Then I'm gonna add in the Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies. And then of course the 2 cups of bone broth. Well, in this case, beef stock. Alright, here's a little bit of a blooper for the blooper reel. This doesn't look diced to me. But I guess I'll have to fix that. But hey, look here, I fixed it. So, back to business. Drop it back on in there, juices and all. Tomatoes go right back in there like nothing ever happened. So now here's what everything is looking like so far. Looks kind of like a soup. Looking pretty good. Alright, so the second to last step of this just says to go ahead and cover it up. Right now my setting's on open. I'm going to turn it to close to lock it. I'm going to make sure that my top dial up here for the steam release is turned to airtight, which it is. Alright, and then I'm going to come down here to the manual settings, and what it says to do, I'm going to hit cancel because right now it was on warm still. So I'm going to go to pressure cook time, which is the manual setting. It said to set it for 10 minutes. Alright, and then I'm going to leave it alone and it'll start to preheat. Once that 10 minutes is up, the last instruction says to use the quick release of pressure, so that means that I don't let the steam out, let it come out on its own. I physically turn the knob to do the quick release of pressure, and then serve warm, top with cheese and sour cream, and enjoy. But that's not where I'm going to stop. I'm going to have some cornbread muffins. I can't have my chili without some cornbread. So while the chili is cooking, I'm going to make some cornbread muffins. Not from scratch like I normally do. Again, like I said, I was hungry, so I didn't feel like doing all the shopping and all the extras, so I'm just using the box Jiffy. So I'm going to preheat the oven because the oven I have takes a little bit to preheat. So let's get that going. As you see, I'm just using Jiffy cornbread mix. Doesn't take a lot of ingredients. It just needs the pack, an egg, and a 1/3 cup of milk. But I like to use buttermilk. It makes it taste a little different. So verdict is in, and everyone loved the chili. Flavor was great. Now I will tell you that I have now made it twice since starting the video. I made the chili twice. Me personally, I like my chili with beans, so I got a can of pinto beans. I didn't make them from scratch or anything like that. Put them on the side for me and whoever else wanted them. When I made it the second time with the smoked paprika instead of the regular, it gave it a little bit more of a kick. But again, the recipe, it didn't make too much of a difference, but it did give it a slightly different flavor, but not a crazy amount different. So let's get into the critiques of it.
So my first critique on the recipe is just that it doesn't specify what type of sausage to use. So I went to Winco. I don't know if there's a Winco in your area or if it even exists where you're watching this video, but all their sausages were either breakfast sausages or Italian sausages. So that flavor did come through a little bit in it, but the recipe itself, I read it up and down. I couldn't figure out exactly what type of sausage to get. It just said sausage. So it didn't make it taste nasty or anything like that. It just probably gave it a slightly different taste than what it would have had I used whatever sausage the person who made the recipe used. And then another critique is that this recipe does not tell you to drain your grease. Now, I know better because I cook. However, it didn't seem like very much grease because I used a more lean, meat. But it did leave a little bit of grease in there, so I thought it would be fine since the recipe didn't specify to drain it. I'm going to tell you right now, drain your grease, because it really doesn't cook out or anything like that, so then it kind of makes it a little too greasy. So the second time around I made it, I did not make that mistake again. So make sure you drain it. Only other thing is that I made cornbread muffins with it. Now the recipe on Pinterest, if you scroll through and you actually follow the link, it does have some sort of cornbread recipe. I didn't read it, but I just made cornbread muffins. I didn't make them from scratch this time. I just made them from the Jiffy box. On point, amazing with it. I just added a tablespoon of sugar, which it doesn't call for in the box recipe, but it was amazing with it, so I do highly recommend that you make cornbread muffins with it. But overall, really good chili recipe. I recommend it. I would just, again, it doesn't say what type of sausage to use, and drain the grease. Otherwise, you'll end up with a little bit of not a greasy mess, but just a little too greasy for your taste, I'm sure. But the cornbread did kind of help pull that out. But again, overall, good recipe. Try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But again, like, subscribe, follow Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Till next time.